Silent but Deadly Podcast, episode 14, man. We here in the Before the Sun edition. I'm kicking it on Sunday morning. I think it's January 29th. And yes, I just woke up and I'm kicking it fresh. Kicking it. I woke up like this, straight up. Straight up, I woke up like this. I've been getting some great sleep, having some good days, it hasn't been the most productive days. It hasn't been the happiest days, but we working. I'm doing what I set out to do, and every day is not perfect, but it's just how it is. I'm striving to not be perfect, but I'm striving to excel. I'm striving to do what I set out to do every day, and it's a it's a process. It's a process for sure. A lot of these times on these podcasts, I'm kicking these podcasts to y'all, but a lot of these times these podcasts is messages to me, because of how I've explained in the past that it's one thing knowing the information, but it's a whole another thing applying the information, especially when you're on a journey trying to get better, and when you're trying to, do things like choosing discipline over pleasure and stuff like that. Like I say, it's easier said than done, but it's a very worthwhile process. Um, and that's the truth. But as you can tell, um, today we're gonna be talking about habits. I wanted to call this episode. I was this week I was thinking about what I was gonna talk about, and I know last week I said I was gonna talk about getting back on the horse, but I really don't think it's a lot that I could talk about in regards to getting back on the horse. And I think this habits episode is similar to my other episodes. It's similar to the self improvement episode, similar to the discipline over pleasure episode, similar to similar to a few episodes. Um, but I think this will take a different spin on it, and I can explain some stuff and go into some detail about some things that I think is very important for the climate right now, and for everybody that is trying to figure out how to become a better self, trying to remove the fat from their life. So, and this time I do got some notes. I just made these notes right now, just like how I explained last podcast. These shows is really just freestyle. They're really off the cuff. I just sat here and made these notes just now before pressing record on this camera. And so when we think about habits, it's important to know that, and I've said this in the past, it's just important to know that the things you do every day is what's gonna happen in the future. Like, I like to call it laying bricks, or I like to call it just building a foundation, building a skeleton for what is gonna be in the future. Because a lot of people think that in the future that they're going to be something different, or they're going to do something that they're not doing right now, or like something just gonna magically happen to them. For example, let's say if you're a man and one day you say you're gonna have a wife, or you're a woman and one day you say you're gonna have a husband. These things are not just gonna magically come to you, and even if they do come to you, if you're not putting in the work right now, you might not be in a position to maintain that person, or you might not be in a position to even attract that person because you haven't been putting the work. Or let's say you want to be an athlete, or you want to make a team. You might say that, and let's say, for example, if you're in middle school, you want to make a high school team, you're only in sixth grade, you may say that, well, one day I want to be a college basketball player, and I'm going to get better over time. But if you're not putting in the work right now, then how are you going to get to that level to be a college basketball player? Even like right now, like me, if you say you want to do well in school and you want to do well on your tests, um, then you can't say that you're going to study in the future. You can't say you're going to study closer to the test. You got to be putting in that work every day, and that's what habits is about. It's easy to use our mind to make to put in effort to reach our goals. It's easy to It's not easy actually. And none of this stuff is easy. It's hard, but it's worth it. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But if you don't want to make something a habit, then every day you have to constantly think about your goal and make it. Think about your goal and then make yourself do something in order to reach that goal. But if you make it a habit, then every day you're just gonna do it regardless. You're gonna do it regardless, and then those habits are gonna eventually get to your goal. But you just do it without thinking about it, and you have the goal in mind, but you don't have to constantly think about your goal every single day in order for you to take the steps to do it. It's already a habit. And if anybody doesn't know what a habit is, in my definition, a habit is something that you do every day. Maybe not every day, but you do most days, and you don't have to think about it. It's consistent. It's like clockwork. Um, and so, what you do every day determines your future because, like I say, you can't just expect your future to come to you just out of the blue. Let's say you want to be, let's say you want to get swole or you want to have a nice body. You can't say that in the future I'm gonna start. You got to start the process today because you never know how long it's gonna take. You never know what type of opportunities you're gonna miss up if you don't start now. And and in general, like, what are we waiting for? A lot of times people put barriers up in our mind, or they have excuses for why they're not gonna do this or why they're not gonna do that. But ultimately, you gotta start today. You gotta build them bricks and you gotta build them layers. So for me, I'll tell y'all about my life. I'll tell you about what habits I'm trying to build up, and it's certain habits that are already ingrained in me, and there's certain habits that I'm still trying to work on doing, and that's why I know that it's hard, and that's why I know that it's a process trying to add new habits and replace old habits. And so one habit I could say right now that I have like on point is working out and training. Sometimes I feel like all I want to do is train. Um, like really, like if I could just train and just chill and train, and I think that would be cool. But that's one habit I have. Like every day I know I'm gonna train, and the days that I'm not training, it's like an anomaly. It's like a weird day. Most days I'm in the gym or I'm running or whatever. When I'm on my fingers here, I'm gonna be doing my jujitsu. So that's one habit I have on point. Another habit I have on point is my sleep. I'm not gonna be unless I'm trading and I'm deliberately getting up in the early hours, or I'm deliberately staying up late. Then I'm gonna get my sleep's gonna be on point. Like last night, my sleep was on point. Like I had so many dreams. I had great sleep. That's why I could come to y'all and kick this podcast right when I wake up because that's another habit that's on point. Um, and really, that's the two main habits. Of course, you got your little habits like brush your teeth. I mean, I know everybody don't brush their teeth like that. And take a shower. You got your habits. Well, I guess another habit could just be the work I do around the house and the hygiene I do to myself. So, just like every week, I'm gonna do my laundry. Every week, I'm gonna wash my dishes. Every week, I might not do a deep clean on my house, but every week I'm gonna make sure my house is straight. I'm gonna make sure I take a shower after I come from the gym. And make sure everything is straight and in order. So I guess those are the three habits that I'm on point with. But it's other habits that's on their way there for me that do it. It's other habits that I'm on the way to being able to do it every day without thinking about it. And then there's habits on this end, and it's like I gotta pull it out the fire. Then I gotta really work to make it a habit. So some of those habits that are close to being all the way there is reading my Bible, especially. I'm trying to read it every day, and for the most part, I do. But um, one habit that's in the middle of right here and right here is reading my normal books. I want to be able to read a book a week, and I read a book this week that took me a long time to read, and I got a short book right here that I want to read. It's only 90 pages. Animal Farm by Huxley. I heard it's or not Huxley by Orwell. I heard it's a good nonfiction read, and it's only about 100 pages. And I got this giant 400-page book, The Rise of the Triumphant Modern Self. and I started this a little minute ago, not too long ago, but this book is heavy and dense. But I want to finish this book, and I just want to keep learning. I want to keep spending my time the right way. Um, so that's two habits I'm trying to get. And then another habit that's in between the middle phase and the pull it out the fire phase is my back testing and my studying for my trading. Because man, it's something I gotta do, but it's not something that I always feel like doing. And I'm gonna talk about feelings. Uh, that might be even be an episode, but that's kind of like discipline versus pleasure. So I'm gonna write that down. D versus P, feelings. And we talk about feelings, and I just went to it quickly. I said that it's something I don't feel like doing, but um, feelings will get you off the path. Feelings is an emotional state, and you can't really be focused on your feelings. You gotta just focus on the task. You gotta focus on the job. Like I reference David Goggins. He something he says is I don't finish when I'm tired. I don't finish with my feelings. I added I don't finish when I'm in my feelings. I finish when I'm done. He says I'm finished when I'm done. So really, it's not about your feelings, because every day you're not gonna feel like doing what you're supposed to do. Even if it is a habit, you're not gonna feel like every day. I don't feel like going to the gym, but some days I do really feel like going to the gym. But every day I don't feel like going to the gym. Um, every day the habits I want to do. It's not always a feeling, but it's a habit, and it's about discipline. So we'll get into feelings on the next rendition of discipline versus pleasure or whatever. But the habit I'm trying to pull out the fire is studying every day for this school stuff. Even though like I'm not really too much worried or too much like it's not the most important thing in the world to me, but it's something I set out to do. I said I wanted to do well in school. I said I wanted to do well on my tests, and I haven't had no tests so far. And I've been turning my homework, but I ain't really been studying like that. So that's a habit I want to pull out the fire, and um, it just popped up to me. I want to explain this concept. So that's the habits I'm currently working on, and so I think everybody should analyze in their life the habits that they have, uh, and compared to the life they want to live in the future. So I want to explain this concept that I've been thinking about, especially last week, like the perfect day versus like what actually happened. So uh, I think it's important to think about your day and think about what you want to do in a day. And sometimes I think about the perfect day, like if I was to do everything that I was supposed to do today without any wavering, without any compromise, what would that day look like? And then attack the day. So one of my days, I was talking to my homie, one of my associates from school, from class, and the perfect day, I said it would be like I wake up, work out, we go to class, then between class I study, I do my homework, and then go back to class. And then after that class, I do my back testing, my trading work, and then go to that class. And then after that class, work out. Well, because I didn't work out in that morning. I remember a workout, and then read, read the Bible, and then chill, and then start over. So it's these days, but in reality, I got up to studying and go to class, and then I did my trading work for like an hour, and then I chilled for that hour between the next class, and class came and I left early because it was boring. But then I trained hard. I trained hard that day. I remember that. I trained hard. So it wasn't too bad of a day, but you really got to think about your perfect day and think about what happened today for me to make it one of the a productive day. And I feel like if you keep stacking those days and stacking those days, then eventually it'll become a habit and it'll become something that you do every day. So let's say I was trying to let's say school wasn't a thing and I was outside of class and I was trying to build my YouTube channel. Then a perfect day would look like waking up, training, uh, doing my YouTube work, like reading a book about the internet, making shorts, putting timestamps on my videos, making new videos ideas, working on my Photoshop, working on my thumbnails, and then doing something else. And so it's just everybody has their own whatever goals you want to do and whatever person that you'd like to become in the future. You gotta make the habits and choose your habits wisely that you're doing today to help you go in a direction towards in the future. And like I say, this is for people that actually want to do something. You know, it's not for if you just want to just have fun and just be a bum or whatever. Then you don't have to do anything. Like you can just live it. You can just wake up uh, and do what you do. And let me tell you, it's days where it could be like a rest day. Like yesterday, I kind of had a rest day. I really didn't do anything yesterday. Like really didn't do nothing. But I woke up. I played 2K in the morning. Got my ring on limited. If you know, you know. I trained. Then I went back to sleep because I was tired from the training session. And I did some laundry, clean the dishes. Then I listened to my news person. He be live streamed for like 6 hours. I watched it for like 5, but I just listened to that while I was watching the game, and I got some Wingstop, and then I watched the movie, and then I went to sleep, and I read the Bible in there somewhere. But you also got these chill days where you just turn it off because when we on the we on the mission and you on like a work day, your brain is always, well, at least my brain, most people's brains probably just like clicking, like what's next, what's next, like what I gotta do now. I'm doing this, work. What's next? But it's healthy to have days where some people say you shouldn't have no rest days, but I think that's foolish. Uh, you should have at least one rest day in there, like one rest day and one light day where you get a nice session in, and the rest of the day, you do whatever, and one day you just do nothing or hardly do nothing. Of course, I gotta get that training in because I rock with the training, but you gotta have those days where you just turn it off. But on the days you working like 5, 6 days out of the week, it's always what's next, what's next. You always gotta have a schedule, and then it's time in there where you should be able to ease back and kick your feet up on the work days. But most of your day, like should be filled with work, and really when you got a lot going on, it's not hard to fill your day with work if you're doing what you're supposed to do. Especially for me in college, having class and whatnot, it's not hard to fill my day with stuff. So let me get back to this list. So that was what you do every day will determine your habits. And then right here I have productive habits versus destructive habits. So right now we were just talking about a whole bunch of productive habits like reading and training and studying and working, like doing what you do to get your money. Um, but we also have destructive habits that people got to analyze. And for me, one of my destructive habits was uh, the one destructive habit for me could be like playing video games or watch too many movies or getting too much sleep, like getting naps. And other habits could be like substance abuse, like smoking too much weed or drinking, or some people would do like prescriptions. Yeah, a destructive habit could be chilling with your girl too much, or if you have a girl, that could be a whole destructive situation. But that's a whole another episode. But it could be destructive habit. It could be hanging with your friends too much, or scrolling too much, or um, it could be a lot of things. And so when we talk about habits that you do every day to make you a better self, we also have these destructive habits that you do every day that's gonna take away from you and eventually could destroy you in the long run. Like if you have a habit of, say, smoking cigarettes, like you're a chain smoker, that's a habit that's gonna compound, and eventually you going in the opposite direction of being your better self. You're going in the direction of like bad health and death ultimately. So it's important. Like in my life right now, I'm trying to like I say, cut out the fat in my life. I got that. I heard Shia LaBeouf say that on his podcast with John Bertha. He said he's trying to cut the fat out of his life, and I think that's a beautiful way to put it. So we have to analyze which habits of ours are destructive and which habits of ours are productive. And I think that definitely goes back to the discipline versus pleasure episode. Excuse me. And a lot of these destructive habits be the habits that feel good. It be the habits. It's be the pleasure habits. Let's say you have a habit of abusing yourself at night and late night, and that's not a good habit either. Regardless of what people want to say, it's not a good habit. Say you want to have a wife in the future, or or you want to have a husband, you keep you keep releasing, you keep abusing yourself, you gonna burn your stem out, or you're not gonna have the type of you're not gonna have the type of vigor, the type of life energy to maybe pull up on your wife, walk up on your wife, or you're not gonna be able to. If you have a wife, you're not gonna be able to pleasure her the right way and stuff like that. So we gotta analyze her. If you let's say you scroll too much or you play too much video games, like habits that destroy your brain, or vape too much, you're not gonna have the mental capacity to put that energy elsewhere, because your brain is so jacked up. And like I say, it's gonna be and just this goes right into the second. The next point I wrote down is the transition period until the new habit is easy. So this is what a lot of people don't understand when you're trying to do something new. Like, for example, if you're trying to pick up a new diet, or you're trying to put down the drugs, put down alcohol, it's gonna be a transition period. And I feel like this is a common topic that I talk about a lot, and this might even deserve its own episode about the transition period. But when you're changing something about yourself, it's gonna be a transition period where you're going from this place in your life to this place in your life. But and for different things, it's going to be a longer transition period, or a shorter transition period. It's going to be a harder transition period, or it's going to be an easier transition period. But it's always a transition period. Everything that you do will not last forever. It'll get better. It might get worse before it gets better, and it might not even get better per se, but it will change. And what people don't understand is that after you get through this transition period, you change, or it gets easier, and then your new thing is a habit. Let's say that you want to start reading books, and in the beginning you think that books is like boring and it's hard for you to get through. But let's say you just make a goal that you're gonna read for 20 minutes a day, and every day for the first 2 weeks, that 20 minutes might suck. It might be hell. You might think that you can't read. You might think that you're not built for it. But by the end of that 2 weeks, you be like, well, it's not too bad. I finished the whole book. Maybe I didn't per se enjoy this book, but let's say by day 10, I found a new book and I'm rocking with this book. So you start to think like, why am I only reading for 20 minutes? And I think that's actually what I used to do. I used to just read for 20 minutes, and then eventually you build that muscle in your brain, and you transition from a person that doesn't read into a person that reads, and you keep finding good books. And what do you know? Now you're in the habit of reading, and if you do it for long enough, it's gonna be something that you don't have to think about. And even if you take a break, it's something that you'll have in the background. For me personally, I don't read. Reading not one of my top habits right now, because I have to read stuff for school and I got class. I don't always have time, man. I'm not saying I don't have time, because I can make time for it. Time is not really an excuse, because I know I can make time for it. But I got stuff to do. I got but during the summer and during the winter, and especially when I graduate, I'm gonna be in these books heavy. I'm gonna be reading a lot. So it's a transition period. We gotta understand that. Like I was talking about in my diet thing, like when you wanna make a new diet, like your body's gonna have to change, and it's gonna be some pain, it's gonna be some discomfort. But if you get through it, you're gonna have a new habit, and you're gonna be rolling, and you're gonna feel better than how you feel before. In your old ways, you're gonna feel better than how you feel during the transition period. And when you got this new habit, you're gonna be rolling. And another important point is that if while you're on the journey, like your mind could trick you into thinking that you got it all figured out, and you got it all done, and everything is taken care of. But you have to understand that you can't go back. You can't go back to your old ways, especially if you're not been doing it for like a year or two. If you're only like a few weeks in, a few months in, your mind might play tricks on you and think that you can go back, but you might just spiral back into your old ways, and then you have to restart that transition period. Like, let's say somebody that smokes weed, and you stop smoking for like 5 weeks, and your brain is like, oh yeah, this is easy. We sober now. Like, we can get us a little. We can go get high, or we can get us a little bag. We can get us a little sack, and then be sober again. But after that, after you done chiefing or whatever, you're gonna have to get sober again. So all that 5 weeks is put to waste, and your brain just tricked you into thinking that you are fixed. But that's a trick. It's still you're still in a transition period. Some days you have good days, but you gotta understand bad days. Your brain might trick you, and you might be feeling good. You might think that the transition period is over and that this new thing, this old habit is away and this new habit is here. But you just gotta keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And you can't bring it back. You can't reintroduce it. And some people can, but I would say you have to do it. You gotta have some years in a hole. You can't do it after you have some weeks or some months. You gotta really put some time between, and then even then you still might fall back. So I feel like it's just better be safe than sorry, and just turn over a new leaf, and just I like to say turn your back to something. If you turn your back to something, don't turn around. Just keep going forward and put so much distance between you and what you're trying to avoid that you can't even see it no more. You can't even see yourself doing it no more. Um, so yeah, don't get caught up because I know this happens. Don't get caught up in your brain tricking you into thinking that you can go back to something just because of the progress you made so far. Like let's say you've been drinking for 5 years and then you don't drink for 3 months, and so you like I cannot drink for 3 months. Let me just take a sip, but you already put in 5 years. You can't think that in 3 months redid you completely redid the damage from those 5 years in 3 months. Um, Now, let's say you don't drink for 5 years and you drink for 5 years, and then maybe you could take a little sip. But one of my jujitsu partners that I train with, he says he likes to drink. He said he like him a little whiskey, and he told me that he had to do a project for 5 years and he did not drink in the 5 years. And he said when he came back from that he like went on a binge basically, and that it was bad when he came back from drinking. Um, so with that, I would say be careful. Even if you put like you really gotta, it's really a mindset thing. At the end of the day, like if you're uh, if you're abstaining from something and the whole time you're abstaining from it, you're not trying to change your mindset, and you're just constantly thinking about the next time that you'll be able to do it, or you're constantly just harping on this thing that you have to get rid of, then um, maybe when you come back, then it'll come back with a vengeance. But maybe if I haven't really asked him about it. Maybe I should. But maybe if he was changing his mindset through the 5 years, like I'm not a drinker, I don't even like to drink, I don't need to drink that whole time, and then he took a little sip, then maybe after all that time, then it would have changed his brain, and he would have been able to not go on a binge. But people like what they like, and so it is what it is. Um, so right here I have replacing old habits. Um, and then I said start living how you want to live in the future today. So we kind of talked about replacing old habits, but let's say that you like to um, let's say you like to smoke, let's say you like to vape, or let's say that you like to scroll. Yeah, let's go there. Let's say you like to scroll a lot on social media. You have to replace that old habit. So you can replace it with reading. You can replace it with, um, let's say you want to read like articles to get you. How about you delete your Instagram and get the Wall Street Journal, or delete your Snapchat, or get something that you like to read on your phone to replace. Let's say you like to scroll in your time where you just sitting, or you just don't scroll at all. You don't go on your phone at all, and you replace just scrolling with doodling, or you replace the scrolling with thinking. That's what I like to do. If I have idle time, like if I get to class early, instead of pulling on my phone and scrolling and seeing what everybody else got on, I go inside. I don't go outside. I go inside. Sometimes I don't even think. Sometimes I'm not thinking about nothing, but I just let my brain do what it wants to do. Like I'm just present, just present. Um, Say you want to stop watching so much TV. When you come home from work at night, you have to replace it with a new habit. Because what are you gonna do? Just sit down and not watch TV? So you're gonna have to start going to a class. You're gonna have to take up a new hobby. You have to take up an instrument. You have to go to jujitsu. You have to go to the gym. You have to find something new to replace that old habit, or else they say idle time is the devil's playground. And so if you um, just sitting and not doing nothing, then your brain is just gonna go back to your brain's gonna trick you into going back into what you used to do. And it's that simple. And the final point: start living the life you want to live in the future today. It kind of has to do with the first point of every day. What you do every day will determine your future. Um, but for me, if I want to be a person in the future that is a workhorse that just reads and does the work to get the money and to train hard and to get good sleep and to eat good, then I gotta do that today. Cause how am I gonna do that in the future if I'm not doing that today? It's not just gonna happen on its own. And the habits that I have right now, um, the longer I keep these habits and the longer I do the bad things, then the harder it's gonna be that much harder to replace it the longer that I do it. So if you want to do be something, you got to look at who you want to be in the future, what you want to be doing in the future. You got to be that today, um, and in the future will be the present, and then you can start working on something else, and that's what it is, like a constant evolution and a growth process. And I think next week I'm gonna talk about growth versus stagnation. Um, all these topics had to do kind of the same, so maybe I'll switch it up instead of talking about like a self help type episode. I don't even like to call it that, but I guess that's what it would be called. I'll talk about something else. I got some other topics. I got some other topics in the clip that I'm about to blast out. So maybe I'll switch it from better help. But man, I'm trying to better myself right now. I'm trying to grow right now. So as much as these episodes is for y'all or for whoever's watching this, these episodes be for me. And even this whole podcast thing is for me. It's just a consistency practice. I ain't trying to be no famous YouTuber. It'd be nice to get a few checks here and there, and it'd be nice to help some people. But for one, I don't think these long form type content is the most digestible for a lot of people. Even though a lot of people will watch like some crazy stuff for a minute, like crazy podcasts, like. But a lot of long form podcasts don't really get a lot of views. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But yeah, YouTube is a crazy place. It's a lot of nonsense on YouTube. Um, so it's not really the most important thing to me. But I'm having fun now. I'm having fun. So we're gonna keep doing it, and I'm doing this for a reason. Everything in life happens for a reason. But I've been talking for 30 minutes. Um, Habits. Analyze your habits. Replace new habits. Replace old habits with new habits, and we can go crazy. I'm gonna keep working on my habits, and maybe we'll follow up, and I'll tell y'all that all these habits that I wanted to pull out the fire that is here, and I'm just rocking it out. But you know, this is life. It's life. Nobody's perfect, but we could try to be perfect. We could try to do what we set out to do, and it is what it is. It's a Before the Sun rendition or edition of the Silent Deli podcast. It's currently what 6 some. I'm gonna edit this real quick, put the timestamps, and then we gonna go train, and then we gonna get on these habits that I'm trying to build. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for the support. Subscribe. If you got to the end and you haven't subscribed, might as well subscribe. But yeah, it is what it is. Silent Deli. It's your boy. I'm out of here. Let's go.